Saints, it will be Bernie Kosar at quarterback, starting for the injured Dan Marino. Kosar making his first start since back in November of 1993, while Jim Everett and his Saints are desperately trying to get into the win column. This is a franchise that has taken a dramatic fall. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Chris Collinsworth. The Miami Dolphins have won the toss, and they will receive. A look at the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Jim Moore, who has certainly been feeling some heat, but he said earlier this week he would never quit as head coach of the Saints. He does have 2 years left on his contract. And there is Dan Marino sitting it out, recovering from the arthroscopic surgery on his right knee, also bothered by a sore left hip. And the return by O.J. McDuffie across the 25-yard line. 21-yard return. Brian Jones, backup middle linebacker, on the stop. And here's Bernie Kosar stepping on. A look at the Miami offensive line. Richmond Webb, Keith Sims, Tim Ruddy, Chris Gray, and Ron Heller. Keith Byers at the fullback position. Terry Kirby, the running back. Fryer, McDuffie, and Green are the receivers. And when they go three wide, we'll see Bernie Parmalee and Gary Clark. So from the 27-yard line, Miami Dolphins starting out with Bernie Kosar calling the signal. And looking to throw on first down. He goes sideline, and he does complete. A 14-yard hookup with O.J. McDuffie.
And that has to be a bit of a shock now for the New Orleans Saints. I'm sure they thought that Miami would come out, try to establish a running game, because the Saints have been so bad against the run so far this season. And Bernie comes right out and shows you why they're paying him over $1 million to be a backup.
Bernie Kosar, only the 13th player to start at quarterback for Don Shula. Shula's had much success with backups taking over. As McDuffie, 81, in motion. And a fumble. Recovered by the Saints. Terry Kirby coughed it up.
Not exactly the way you'd want to have the game start for Bernie Kosar. The Saints, in their penetrating style of defense, looked like it may have distracted Terry Kirby. The exchange just simply did not happen with he and Bernie Kosar. You could see the fact that number 93, Wayne Martin, was right there in the face. Terry Kirby looked up at him and lost track of the football.
All right, Ronaldo Turnbull on the recovery. And the Saints first down from the 36-yard line. Mario Bates finding the hole. Mario Bates in for the touchdown. Now apparently he stepped out inside the one. Took the bump from the corner, J.B. Brown, and it'll be a first and goal at the one.
And for the Miami Dolphins defense, Brian Cox just got slammed on the play, and that's what sprung free Lorenzo Neal with the big block. And a dream opening now for the New Orleans Saints. Come into this ball game 0-5. You expected the Dolphins to be all excited, and there's Cox getting slammed on the block.
So a first and goal inside the one. Bates going wide, and now is in for the score. So the Dolphins allowing their first rushing touchdown. The Saints taking advantage of the fumble.
Always difficult to pin blame on a fumbled exchange like that between a quarterback and a running back, but it certainly looked on the play like Terry Kirby just lost track of what he was doing, looked up, saw Wayne Martin coming at him, and boy, now all of a sudden you have this New Orleans crowd that has been so out of it for the last 5 games, now a factor.
Chip Lohmiller with the extra point attempt. So yes, the Saints are hearing it from this crowd. as they take the early 7-0 lead. Fast start for the Saints. Defenders of the Saints point out, yes, they're 0-5, but out of the 5 defeats, 1 was a thrashing by the Giants. The others 4 tough games.
Open right up against San Francisco, very much in that football game. And the thing they haven't been able to do so far is get the turnovers. They haven't been able to run the football. And so far here in the first couple of minutes, they get a turnover and have a rushing touchdown.
But coaches will tell you, or as Bill Parcells likes to say, you are what you are.
What you are.
Right, and the record is 0-5 as Lohmiller gets set to kick it off. McDuffie and Spikes are back. Irving Spikes with the return. Flag is thrown. Spikes is hit down and lost control of the ball and carried out of bounds. A 15-yard return. Good coverage by the Saints. The referee is Johnny Greer. And the call is being applauded by Saints players. It is against Miami.
And so far, Miami picking up right where they left off in the second half last week against the Colts, playing sloppy football.
Holding number 52 of the receiving team during the run back. First down.
That is Jeff Kopp called for the hold. Yes, flashing back to last week, at one point the Dolphins led 24-3 against Indianapolis. They allowed 24 consecutive points, lost it in overtime. Don Shula called it an embarrassment. The crowd in Miami booing the Dolphins for blowing the big lead.
You know, and it was so reminiscent of that game against San Diego in the playoffs last year, the same halftime score, 24-3. And for Don Shula, I asked the dumb question, had you ever had a game like that? And he just sort of smirked and said, yeah, I can remember one in the playoffs last year. So a lot of questions about this team and the heart and all the things that go with it when you start blowing big leads like that.
All right, Bernie Kosar and the Dolphins starting out now at their 11th-yard line. Bernie Kosar in his 11th NFL season, 31 years old. Made his last start as a member of the Cowboys nearly 2 years ago. And the second back coming through, Kirby, with a short pickup. A look at the New Orleans defensive unit up front. Johnson, Goff, Martin, and the converted linebacker Turnbull. The linebackers, Dixon, Tubbs, and Harvey. Spencer and the former Eagle Allen at the corners. Lumpkin and Buck are the deep men. When they go to the dime, Tyrone Hughes, Tyrone Leggett check in. A second down and 8 at the 13-yard line. Kirby flanks to the right side. Again, a long count by Kosar. Early getting the time. Able to swing it. Myers, who had 5 catches last week, bottled up at the 16. The middle linebacker, Winfred Tubbs, leading the assault by the Saints.
And so important that Winfred Tubbs back in this lineup. He was injured in the very first game of the season against San Francisco. And since his loss, also the injury to Rufus Porter, the free agent that came over from Seattle, this linebacker core has been playing a different position literally every game. But you put number 54, Winfred Tubbs, back in the middle, and all of a sudden things much more settled now for the Saints.
Miami looking at a 3rd down and 5 at the 16. Gary Clark now flanks to the right side. Saints with a 7-0 lead on the Dolphins. Out of the shotgun. Again, Kosar got the protection, able to rifle it in for a first down. Irving Fryer with the diving catch, and that's good for 21. Eric Allen providing the coverage.
Boy, any questions about Bernie Kosar's arm strength just got answered on that play. This is a good matchup. We'll be watching this one all day. Irving Fryer against Eric Allen, the free agent who came over from the Eagles for big money, and that time Bernie Kosar able to zip it right by him. There's Irving Fryer, who's had a terrific year so far for the Dolphins. Really good year since he's gotten here.
Eric Allen has got a long time between victories as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Lost the last 7 games last year. He's 0-5 this season. Again, it's Fryer, this time wide open. That's good for 20.
And let's just tell it like it is. So far, Eric Allen has been a disappointment. They thought that Eric Allen, coming over from Philadelphia, could play man-to-man coverage against the other team's best wide receiver, a la Deion Sanders and what he did for San Francisco last year. Unfortunately, that has not been the case. Really, Eric Allen has been nowhere near that quality of a player, and in man coverage, he's really not going to be able to match up against Irving Fryar today.
And you know, Chris, he last experienced the thrill of victory back in November of '94 when the Eagles knocked off the Arizona Cardinals. It's been a long time before he has seen between W's. It's Kirby. And he was stopped at the line. The outside linebacker, Richard Harvey, on the tackle. Bernie Kosar's opened up 4 for 4 for 58 yards. It'll be a second down and 9 at the 42.
It was interesting, Bernie telling us how he got the news that he would be starting. Apparently Don Shula's radio show comes on Monday morning about 7:30. He said about 7:45 the phone started ringing, and it was one of those where it would ring like 100 times, time after time, so he knew that something was up.
You're saying Shula with the exclusive on his own radio show?
Well, you know, you got to make your money how you can.
Yes. And the out pattern thrown by Kosar to Byers, short of the first down. Spencer, the left quarterback, makes the stop. Bernie telling us last night he feels he still has the good velocity on the ball, and he said he feels he's particularly effective in throwing that out pattern that we just saw.
And that was the question mark when he was with Cleveland. There was some doubt as to whether or not that he had lost his arm strength, and he said that it was because they didn't have the protection in Cleveland, that he didn't have time to get back there, set up, throw the football. He was having to release it early, so consequently his arm looked weak because he had to sort of arc it in there to give the receiver time to come out of the break.
Now Bernie Parmalee in the backfield with Terry Kirby for this third down and 3. Kosar, it is dropped by Kirby. That would have been a first down. Tyrone Leggett providing the coverage. So that goes down as the first incompletion for Bernie Kosar.
And really, Bernie even pulled the string a little and made this a very catchable ball. And for Terry Kirby, you could see the head moving upfield, and obviously on a third down and short situation, you catch it, you fall down, you move the sticks and keep playing.
And here is Pete Stoyanovich, who certainly had his problems last week, although he did hit from 51, attempting from 54 yards away. And way off. So the Saints maintain the 7-0 lead. We'll be right back. Here of the Louisiana Superdome. A look at Jim Everett in his second season as a member of the New Orleans Saints. Last year, he carried the offense, covering up for defensive shortcomings, 22 touchdown passes, 1 shy of the team record. He has proven to be a steal acquired from the Rams 2 years ago for a 7th-round draft pick. And a first down for New Orleans at their 44 following the missed 54-yarder by Stoyanovich. Mario Bates, who was tripped up by the strong safety Michael Stewart. A look at the offensive line for the Saints. Rofe, Dombrowski, Ulenek, Port, and Cooper. Rofe, an all-pro last year, comes off a tough game against the Eagles 2 weeks back. Everett, the quarterback. Bates is the lone deep back. Early, Haynes, Walls, and Smith are the receivers when they go to the 2 tight end. When they go 3 wide, Derek Brown and Torrance Small check in. It's a second down and 8 at the 46-yard line. We're halfway through this first quarter. The Saints taking advantage of the early fumble by Terry Kirby with a 7-0 lead. And Everett's pass batted down. Tim Bowens able to get a piece of it. Cross, Bowens, Klingbeil, and Coleman up front for Miami, looking for more of a pass rush coming off what took place last week against the Colts. Singleton, Cox, and Hollier are the linebackers. Vincent and Brown at the corners. Stewart and Atkins, the safety men. Gene Atkins, a longtime member of the New Orleans Saints, going back to the glory days, so to speak, of New Orleans. Of course, this is a franchise that has not won a playoff game, but they had that record of 12 up and 4 down back in '92. Penalty markers are thrown. Everett able to get it away for Derek Brown, who was taken down by Chris Singleton. But Let's see what the flags reveal. 16-yard pickup if it does hold up.
Offside, 93, defense is declined. First down.
Well, the call against Trace Armstrong of the Dolphins.
And Trace Armstrong, a guy that had his knee banged up a week ago, only played about 14 plays in that ball game. Derek Brown making the play. He was a starter here for the Saints before Mario Bates replaced him about 9 games into the season. Last year, they've had like 4 straight years that rookies have led this team in rushing, and now it's Mario Bates' job.
And the Saints with a first down at the Miami 37-yard line. To the outside. He broke a tackle and then is hit down at the 35. He picked up 2. J.D. Brown, the right corner, on the stop of Mario Bates, who has come back from a broken jaw last season. A broken jaw, Chris, he suffered in a barroom brawl with his own teammate and blocking back Lorenzo Neal.
I asked him about it, and I said, you know, exactly what happened. He said, it's old news. I said, well, just give me a little bit of what happened. He said, well, you know, it's yesterday's story. You just tell me a little bit of what happened with the play. I'm telling you, don't ask the question anymore. So
not taking no.
Well, I stopped then. That was it. 3 shots, and then I was out.
Second down and 7, and Bates is stopped at the line.
It was interesting, though, in talking to him, when he was actually talking to me,
yes.
He said about this.
You seem to have that effect on a lot of guys.
You know, I don't know, except you, unfortunately.
Of course. That's
but he did say about this Dolphin defense, and that he felt that this was a defense that they could run against, and there were players down all over the field. There's Michael Stewart.
Michael Stewart shaken up. Mario Bates also hobbling. We'll get back to Chris's fascinating tale in a moment.
Mario Bates learned not to mess around with Lorenzo Neal in a bar that night, and now Michael Stewart getting the same lesson. Lorenzo Neal, just a tremendous blocker up front, one of the better blocking fullbacks in the game.
It's a 3rd and 7 at the Miami 34. Everett, and it's whistle dead. Terrell Buckley continued on and finally pulled up.
False start, 70, offense, prior to the snap. Still third down.
The right guard, Chris Port, called for the false start. There's Michael Stewart, a one-time teammate of Jim Everett, as members of the Los Angeles Rams shaken up just a moment ago.
And he's really a pretty good cover safety, and what we think is going to happen today is that the Saints are going to play quite a bit of the 3 wide receiver set because of the success the Colts had last week in that spread offense.
It's a 3rd and 12. Everett with a bullet pass. We'll have to see where they spotted Quinn early on the catch. Took the hit from behind from Troy Vincent. The crowd not appreciative of the spot, which is short of a first down. Picked up 9 on the play.
Well, because Early really never fought back and tried to gain any more yards, he should have been down where the initial contact was made, which is right there about the, I would say, short of the first down. I think that's a good spot by the official.
Couple of yards short, so Chip Lohmiller comes on for a 47-yard attempt. You see the number, 6 of 7. And to replace Morton Anderson. Saints have certainly been hearing about that. And Lohmiller hits the upright.
Sort of replaced Morton Anderson.
Saints with a 7-0 lead. Well, Bernie Kosar, the 13th player to start at quarterback for Don Shula, who has had much success with backup quarterbacks. Earl Morrow stepping in, remember, for Bob Greasy, helping the Dolphins to that undefeated season back in 1972. And Don Strock, a successful Dolphins backup for 13 NFL seasons. Under Shula, Miami has gone 30-13 in regular season games started by reserve quarterbacks, but as you can see, for the most part, that's because of the play of Morrow and Strock.
Earl Morrow going 10-0 in that perfect season. A lot of people forget that because of the fact that Greasy came back and played in the Super Bowl, but that was really Earl Morrow's year.
So Miami with Kosar quarterback starting out at the 37-yard line. That's a rare handoff for Keith Byers. And short yardage picked up. Wayne Martin, the under tackle in the 4-3 of New Orleans, making the stop. How about the Indianapolis Colts knocking off the San Francisco 49ers in Indy? Next week, the Colts and the Oakland Raiders here on NBC as part of the second half of our doubleheader. The Colts last week coming from behind to defeat the Miami Dolphins. Jim Harbaugh's had a terrific season.
And the week before that, they knocked off the undefeated Rams.
Second down and 8. Parmalee, ankle tackle, stretching his way to the 45-yard line. Richard Harvey, weak side linebacker, making the stop.
And for the Miami Dolphins, you have to believe that they're going to definitely test this run defense. Under Monty Kiffin, the new defensive coordinator, the Saints want to penetrate. They want to get up the field, try and get into the backfield. But what that does is it creates running lanes. If one guy gets thrown or one guy gets blocked out of his lane, all of a sudden you can hit some big plays running the football. And that's what's been happening to the Saints defense all year.
It's a 3rd and 2, and it's back to the run. Parmalee short of the first down. Ernest Dixon, the strong side linebacker, making the stop. The Saints' problems in simplistic fashion have been that they have not been able to run. They have not been able to stop the run.
They can't get off the field. I mean, that's the big thing. But it looks like so far they've had a turnover, they had a missed field goal, and now Don Shula choosing to punt the football here if this measurement goes against them.
Well, both teams have already made their changes. The punting unit is on, so Miami figuring that they did come up short. 3.5 remaining in this opening quarter. I don't know. What do you think? Would you go for it? Or do you go for the punt?
Well, the rule is that when you have the better team, you'd be a little conservative. And I think that's what Don Shula's thinking is here, that it's a long game, and he unquestionably has the better of these two teams. So no doubt about it, he's going to go for it.
You gave 8 different options. That's very impressive.
I'd like to hedge my bet.
I can understand why Mario Bates would be upset with you. And so, as you so clearly explained, Don Shula and the Dolphins will go for it. It's 4th and inches. He pulled the punting team. The crowd urging on the defense. And it appears from our angle that Parmalee picked it up. Richard Harvey tried to stack him up. Bernie Parmalee surging off the left side. However, a penalty flag was thrown. It's against Miami. And that will bring back John Kidd.
Boy, a gutsy call by Don Shula to go for it on 4th down. He probably was thinking back to a week ago in which the Colts came out in the second half and went like 4 for 4 on 4th down against him and decided to take a shot, and then yet another mistake for the Dolphins. This has been a poor start.
First punt of the day. There's Tyrone Hughes, who has not done it in the punt return game, averaging just under 3 yards per return. That's the worst in the National Football League. Good with a good punt and a fair catch by Hughes at the 16, a 43-yard punt. Well, looking ahead, Friday night, NBC will kick off its new Friday lineup, the season premiere of Unsolved Mysteries. And that is followed by an all-new Dateline, and then the season premiere of the acclaimed drama series Homicide. That is NBC Friday. Saints with a 7-0 lead on the Dolphins. Just under 3 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. Everett at quarterback and puts it up and completes to Quinn Early for a first down. It's good for 22. J.B. Brown on the coverage.
It was interesting talking to Carl Smith, the offensive coordinator for the Saints. He said, they leave these corners by themselves. They don't give those guys a lot of help, and we feel pretty comfortable with our wide receivers. They have good players on the outside. Of course, Michael Haynes, the guy that gets all the attention, but Quinn Early having a terrific season as well, and a very tough guy, willing to go over the middle and make plays just like that.
Lorenzo Neal now, the lone deep back. Mario Bates suffering a sprained ankle on the previous series. No word on whether he will return. Nice catch made in traffic by Early. Again, Brown on the coverage. Another New Orleans first down. This is good for 14.
And you can see the former Saint now, Gene Atkins, coming out of the middle and wanting to make some big hits. This time Early just able to avoid the hit. But one thing that he has to be careful about here, and he's emotional, he's playing against his former team. They didn't want him. They didn't want to pay him the money. He starts coming up too quickly. A little pump and go, a little action in behind him.
Everett is 4 out of 5 for 62 yards to the ground for Brown. And Derek Brown is bottled up by the combination of Dwight Hollier and Michael Stewart.
And Brian Cox just flying around like a madman out there, as he typically does. He wants to make contact in midair. He wants to make contact that knocks the guy backwards. And once he gets going forward, he's trying to wound somebody. Just runs right by him there. And I tell you, he probably has an eye out for that Lorenzo Neal, because Lorenzo Neal, the blocking back, has a tendency to put a hurt on people.
Second down and 7. Enemy territory at the 45-yard line. Again, Brown getting the opportunity because of the ankle problem of Bates. Derek Brown about 2.5 yards short of a first down. Tackled by Chuck Clinbile. Derek Brown in his third year out of Nebraska, a 4th-round draft pick 2 years ago. Usually provides a change of pace, and he is a receiving threat out of the backfield.
Yeah, but more than that, this has been impressive in that the Saints have the worst rushing offense in the National Football League, and so far they've been able to move around the front from the Miami Dolphins.
It's 3rd and 2. And a timeout is called by Jim Everett. Saints have already collected in total 112 total yards in this first quarter. When we resume, it's a 3rd down and 2 at the 40 with 17 seconds to go in this opening quarter. A reminder, next Saturday, 12 noon Eastern time, it'll be Clyde Drexler and the 2-time defending champion Houston Rockets taking on the world in the McDonald's Championship from London. For the first time, the NBA championship team will compete with league champs from around the globe. That'll be next Saturday from London, right here on NBC.
Your thoughts on Akeem the Dream not there and the injured back?
I know Akeem did make a publicity trip a couple of weeks ago, but certainly a shame that we will not see the Dream in action. He'll be sitting it out for a good portion of preseason, but for me, an opportunity to spend quality time with the likes of Matt Guokas and Steve Jones, so I'm very happy.
And I won't see you for a week.
That's right. That's not what I'm having. All right, a 3rd down and 2 as Derek Brown gets the call once again, and he's turned back. Michael Stewart, the strong safety, making the stop.
And Michael Stewart coming back after getting knocked out of the game and making a huge play there.
So that will do it for this first quarter, with the Saints leading the Dolphins 7-0. Welcome back to the Superdome in New Orleans. Marv Albert with Chris Collinsworth as we head to the second quarter. 7-0. Saints with the lead. A critical fumble by Terry Kirby leading to the early score. Mario Bates taking it in from 1 yard away in the opening minutes for the 7-0 lead. And now Klaus Wilmsmeyer will punt for the first time for the Saints on this 4th down and 3. And a fake! And he completes the pass! The punter Wilmsmeyer for Anthony Newman, a backup safety, for an 18-yard pass play on a fake punt.
Why not if you're Jim Mora? You're 0-5. The fans are down on you. Take your shot. And it was interesting. Wilmsmeyer was over on the sideline, and he was kicking his leg up in the air and sort of putting on a show like, well, I'm getting ready to punt this thing. And just as cool as he could be, a very easy throw. How about that? The Saints with a sign of life.
First down at the 23. Anthony Newman on the reception. He's an 8-year man out of Oregon. Backup safety. We're checking to see if that is his first NFL reception.
All of a sudden, the Saints crowd starting to have a little fun.
Now Michael Haynes, flank to the right. Long deep back. Eric Brown. And Everett stepping up, throwing for the end zone. Touchdown! Michael Haynes with his third touchdown of the season. A 23-yard pass play. He beat Troy Vincent.
And they wouldn't let him dance. Michael wanted to dance at the end of that play, and he just got mobbed by his teammates. But you got the best going against the best. Michael Haynes with all that great speed. And Jim Everett telling us yesterday that here's a guy that has finally become a complete wide receiver. That when he came here from the Falcons, he knew two patterns. He knew how to run a hook, and he knew how to run a go. And that time he just ran right by Troy Vincent. Vincent beat it for a touchdown last week as well.
Chip Lomella. A fake once again against the Dolphins, going for the 2, and he cannot make his way. This time stopped by Troy Vincent. Well, Jim Moore figuring, let's see, they'll never think we're going to try another fake after fake punt.
Well, Wilmsmeyer needs to stay in the pocket. He's not very effective on the rollout.
Wilmsmeyer once again trying to pick up the points.
Pin the blame right here on Gene Atkins, the safety. Troy Vincent expecting help on the play. Watch, as soon as the ball sails over his head, he looks back inside and said, Gene, where were you? Troy Vincent just responsible for the flat on that side, expecting safety help. And when Atkins jumped on the tight end down the middle, that's what led to the easy touchdown.
Now the kick returned by Irving Spikes. He's taken down as he crossed the 20-yard line, an 18-yard return. Incidentally, that reception by the backup safety man Anthony Newman on the pass from the punter Klaus Wilmsmeyer, his first in the NFL. And looking back at the extra point attempt, the snap was botched, so Wilmsmeyer had no choice, and he tried to run it in. That was not more chicanery out of the Jim Moore playbook. He had no choice there.
And more face time for Wilmsmeyer than he's probably had in his whole career. But now it's time for Tom Olivadotti, that defense, to get moving. And you can see the discussion going on with Gene Atkins, who was probably at fault on that touchdown.
The Dolphins in a hole. They're trailing 13-0 with a minute and a half gone by in the second quarter. The pitch. Connolly. Try to get a bit more push on that right side, but Richard Harvey was there to make the stop along with Winfred Tubbs. So it is a short advance.
And exactly where have the Miami Dolphins gone now? They checked out at halftime last week against the Colts, and they haven't been seen since.
Well, 7 rushes, 12 yards against a team that has not been able to stop the run.
That's amazing. You're talking about a team that hasn't run the football all season long and running up and down.
Those are throwing on the run for Parmalee. Parmalee finding the room. Nice pickup by Bernie Parmalee for a first down. He went for 15. He was tackled by Wayne Martin.
Well set up here. They were able to get their offensive linemen out in front of the play, and Bernie did a good job disguising this thing. Anytime you get the 2 lead blockers out front, just to hold it to a 10, 15-yard game, not bad for the Saints defense.
Bernie Parmalee had some fumble problems at the start of the year. Terry Kirby has been the starter. We've seen quite a bit though of Parmalee. Kirby with that critical fumble in the early moments here. Play action. Good fake by Kozar. Lines it up and completes a hard hit on Gary Clark, who was able to hold on for the first down. The free safety, Vince Buck, the man who made the contact, and that's an 18-yard pass play.
And at the beginning of the play, Sean Lumpkin, the safety, came up into an 8-man front, and that's the reason Clark was so wide open. But then, Clark with a tremendous hit. Impressive that Clark just able to hold on to this one. Helmet-to-helmet contact.
And Kozar, 7 of 8, 97 yards. Has a first down at the New Orleans 45. Parmalee makes the turn. Did not have much running room. Run out by the outside linebacker, Richard Harvey. Miami Dolphins with a record of 4-1. Wins over the Jets, New England, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. Mentioned the overtime loss last week to the Colts. Next Sunday they play the Jets at the Jersey Meadowlands, and then home for Buffalo, at San Diego, back home for New England and San Francisco. Some tough matchups coming up for the Patriots, and the question is, when will Dan Marino return? I know you talked with him prior to the game.
I'll get to it just right after this play.
It's a second down and 3 at the 38-yard line. Kozar has the first down with the tight end Eric Green stopped by Winfred Tubbs.
And first of all, good to see Eric Green catch a ball. He's been struggling the last couple of weeks. But I talked to Dan Marino just before the ball game, and he said that he just now has had a drain, a tube taken out of his hip. Really, the hip has been the bigger problem. He really couldn't pick his leg up much more than having his thigh parallel with the ground. He says his knee feels great. He's really happy that with the progress of his knee. The question now, the hip, he said he'll go into next week, and he's hoping to play in the ball game next week.
And a first down at the Saints 31. Kozar getting the time again, looking for Green. He has him, and he's in for the touchdown. Eric Green was untouched, so was able to roll into the end zone. It's a 31-yard touchdown pass play.
And Eric Green, who has dropped at least 4 balls the last couple of weeks, making the nice play here, but you can see him just wanting to cradle it. And the Dolphins' problems thus far in this ball game, you can talk about the defense or the running game or whatever, but Bernie Kozar has been sensational in relief to this point.
And the offensive line has played extremely well. Bernie getting the time. Kozar 9 of 10, 135 yards. And now 1 touchdown in his first start in almost 2 years. Stoyanovich puts it through. 9:59 to go in this first half. The Saints with a 13-7 lead on the Dolphins. A very sharp start for the backup quarterback, Bernie Kozar, playing for the injured Dan Marino. 9 of 10, 135 yards, just threw for a touchdown. Miami down 13-0. That represented the most that Miami has trailed by all season. A margin of 13 points, but now 13-7 Saints. And the kickoff for Tyrone Hughes, who is second in kick returns in the NFC. Here's Hughes, not able to find the room. Gets out to the 23-yard line.
Let's go back to the touchdown now. The fault of Vince Buck. He's going to try and help over here on Irving Fryer, but Eric Green, clearly his responsibility right down the middle of the field. Sean Lumpkin not responsible for the tight end. They just caught Vince Buck leaning the other way and paying attention to Irving Fryer. Lumpkin almost made the play anyway.
Eric Green with his second touchdown reception of the season. As the Dolphins check out the injured player, we'll take a break.
Calvin Jackson, the injured player, trying to make the tackle on the kick return, working on the lower part of his leg, and it doesn't really look like a knee. It doesn't look like an ankle. In between the tibia, the fibula in there, those bones, and seem to be the area of concern.
Calvin, a first-year man out of Auburn, backup defensive back and a special teams guy. Well, coming up after the Dolphins and the Saints, Game 5 of the League Championship Series. Mariners and Indians take the field in Cleveland, all tied at 2. Oral Hershiser will go against Chris Bossio. That'll be Game 5. Following football, Chris, do you know that on this day, October 15th, back in 1988, it was game 1 of the World Series, the Oakland A's and the LA Dodgers, the game that saw Kirk Gibson in electrifying fashion connect for the home run against Dennis Eckersley to beat the A's. What a great moment that was.
I remember it well, but I still think the Reds are going to come back.
Yes. This season.
Eventually. Davey Johnson won't come back, but my hopes.
First down at the 23-yard line for the New Orleans Saints, who lead the Dolphins 13-7. Off the pitch, Derek Brown out across the 25, and a flag is thrown. Dwight Hollier made the stop on Brown, getting the playing time because of the ankle injury suffered by Mario Bates. And the hold against the Saints.
So far offensively, the Saints have been sharp, though. They had a 2-play touchdown drive after the fumble by Kirby to open the games, and there's Bates. Was trying to work off that ankle injury. Come right back with a 7-play missed field goal drive and a 7-play drive for a touchdown.
Holding, number 62, offense. Still first down.
Well, that's the former Miami Dolphin, Jeff Ulenik, the starting center for the Saints. Call for the hold.
The center on the play, see if we can pick up the hold. No. Didn't see it.
It is a 1st and 20 for the Saints. And now Miami calls for time. 9:29 to go. First half. Well, some members of the band listening to the first half comments of Chris Collinsworth.
Saints fever, catch it.
And the band played on.
I love football.
All right, 9:29 left in this first half, and the Saints with a 13-7 lead on Miami. Off the draw, Eric Brown is stopped. Jeff Cross from his left defensive end making the tackle. Jeff Cross with some strong comments during the course of the week, complaining about some of the defensive adjustments or lack of adjustments last week in the second half by the Dolphins against the Colts.
And Tom Olivadotti, he thought Olivadotti went too cautious in that second half. I went back and watched the tape, though, and really they were blitzing people quite a bit. Only rushed 3 one time, and he said Olivadotti said Jeff Cross, and just a little frustrated, I guess.
Off the 2nd and 12, the completion to Quinn Early, the free safety. Gene Atkins on the stop early with his 3rd reception, but it is short of a first down.
This has been a nice combination. I don't think there's any question now that they're trying to work a little bit on J.B. Brown. All the slant patterns, all the underneath stuff have come to J.B. Brown's side, and Troy Vincent apparently beat on the touchdown, but really was not. If you're going to work on one side, probably more to J.B. Brown's side than Troy Vincent's.
Everett looking at a 3rd down and 4 from the shotgun, throwing, and it is incomplete through the hands of Terrence Small. He was covered by Terrell Buckley.
And Terrell Buckley was such a tough week last week, giving up 2 touchdown passes. And Tom Olivadotti telling us we're watching Terrell Buckley in this one. He struggled, and really that play could have been made. Buckley didn't get a hand on it, and for Jim Everett, yet another trip to the sideline. Just not able to maintain the drives here in New Orleans.
And the very active punter, Klaus Wilsmeyer, I believe Chris will punt this one away. Odds are. Back from his 14-yard line, O.J. McDuffie is back. And a beauty. Fair catch for McDuffie out of the 41. Got the hang time, goes for only 30, but prevented the run back.
They should let him throw.
Yes. So 8:05 remaining in this first half. A look ahead next Sunday. NBC Sports presents another NFL doubleheader starting 12:30 Eastern Time with the NFL on NBC. In our early games, most of you will see the Oilers visit Soldier Field going up against the Chicago Bears. Some of you will see the same Dolphins take on the Jets. Others will catch the Browns in Jacksonville in the late matchups, the Broncos and the Chiefs, or the hot Indianapolis Indianapolis Colts visiting the Raiders in Oakland. The Colts coming off the win over the 49ers earlier today. Play action for Kozar, and it is intercepted, picked off by Tubbs. The middle linebacker, Winfred Tubbs, with his first pick of the season. He was tackled by the center, Tim Ruddy.
Bernie Kosar with the second best career interception percentage in NFL history. Only Jeff Hostetler better, and this just a horrid throw. He tried to lob it in over the top, was off balance, leaning away from the throw, and just a very un-Bernie-like throw. That's one where just got away. Don't know.
Tubbs, a guy had missed 3 games with a pulled calf muscle, returned to the starting lineup 2 weeks ago against the Eagles and had a terrific game, a game-high 17 tackles. Saints get it back. Brown on the pass from Everett, and he is gang tackled. Brian Cox, Chris Singleton among those to get to Derek Brown, who is very much part of the game plan.
And now all of a sudden, this Saints offense, they're getting chances in this game that they haven't had all season. Typically, they're starting from their own 20-yard line. They're having to go 80 yards. Jim Moore talked about it. So we have to shorten the field for our offense. We have to get some turnovers, get off the field defensively, and so far the Dolphins have made it very easy.
That was only the Saints' 4th interception of the season. They have a second down and 7 at the Miami 41-yard line. The darting Derek Brown. Dwight Collier on the stop. He is short of a first down. It'll bring up a 3rd and about 2.
Jim Dombrowski leading the way up front, and Jim Everett telling us that he was probably the most underrated offensive lineman in football. Of course, Willie Rofe, who plays right next to him, the guy that gets all the attention, but Jim Dombrowski, as you can see there, lines up and plays every single Sunday.
That dates back to 1987. Everett looking to the far side, has the tight end Wesley Walls. And a first down. Wesley Walls with his first catch of the day, number 21 on the season, covered by Michael Stewart, but the Saints with another first down.
And right now, Jim Everett and the Saints are doing the same thing that Jim Harbaugh did in the second half last week. They've got their 3 wide receivers in the ball game. They're spreading out. They've brought Terrell Buckley in. You want to see Buckley. They want to bring Frankie Smith into the ball game. Now maybe a weakness showing up in this Miami defense, the spread offense, giving them problems.
Saints first down at the Dolphin 30-yard line as we come up on 6 minutes to go in the half. Brown gets the call, trying to make the turn, and he is gang tackled. Stewart and Atkins leading the way. And ran into a wall of Dolphins.
And Don Shula telling us yesterday that he was concerned about this game because you've got a team 0-5. They're coming in here. They've had a week off to get healthy, a week off to think about it. And Mario Bates, the running back, said it was embarrassing. We had a week off. We all went home. Everybody spent a little time with their family. He said, I never left the house. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to go out, didn't want to see my friends. We're 0-5. We're terrible. And Shula knew those kinds of emotions were working in the same football team.
Saints have a second down and 9 at the Dolphin 29. Play action. Everett overthrows the pass intended for the fullback, Lorenzo Neal. It sets a 3rd and 9.
Wow, that thing had a shot. Lorenzo Neal out there by himself. Brian Cox tried to get back into the play, but Everett just unable to get his body flipped around to make that throw, but a real opportunity missed for the Saints.
3rd down and 9 at the 29-yard line. And now New Orleans takes a timeout. .5:19 remaining in this first half. Jim Everett, 4 years ago, took the Rams to the NFC Championship game and seemed to lose his confidence. His play played well this season, although he had a so-so game against the Eagles 2 weeks ago, bothered by a sprained ankle.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Jim Everett, he said that when I signed with the Saints, they had the 4th-rated defense, and I was thinking, good, finally, after all those years with the Rams, I come over here, have a good defense, won't have all the pressure on me to score points, and as soon as he gets here, this defense starts to fall apart. He has never played with a defensive unit that was ranked higher than 19th in the National Football League. I mean, just odds alone say that you've got to have a defense better than that at some point. And really the struggles of this defense amazing after the way that they played defense here for the last 10 years.
Jim Morris saying that Jim Everett is a young 32. Coming off the kind of season he had a year ago. Out of the shotgun. Everett with the short pitch to Derek Ned, who tried to make more out of it but lost on the play. Frank Smith on the stop.
And the pressure starting to give Jim Everett some problems. You can see how uncomfortable Jim is back here in the pocket. The pressure getting there, getting close, and he just had to flip it out. The man coverage there. I think Tom Olivedati, after watching those last 2 throws by Jim Everett, the tendency now is going to be bring more pressure, not less.
It is a 4th down and 15, and Chip Lohmiller has come on looking for a 52-yard field goal. This is after missing from 47. It is just short. And Lohmiller hearing it from the crowd with memories of a fellow by the name of Morton Anderson, I'm sure, pervading the stadium.
And I'm not sure that they're booing Lohmiller so much as they're booing the decision to let Morton Anderson go. And that one just could not have been any closer. He's made a 51-yarder earlier this year, but Morton Anderson, that thing, he may miss it left or right, but from 51 yards, it's going to go sailing through by about 10 or 15 yards.
Chip Lohmiller, a guy who spent 7 years with the Washington Redskins. He was a Pro Bowl player and NFC scoring leader, but following a very tough act in Morton Anderson. So the Dolphins back to the offense, and Parmalee is stopped. Israel Stanley on the stop. Back in week 3 of this season, remember, it was Morton Anderson. Now the Atlanta Falcons delivering a 21-yard field goal at the end of regulation to defeat the Saints. 27-24, an emotional homecoming for the one-time Saint kicker of some 14 seasons.
And I asked Jim Moore about the decision to let him go. He said, we just didn't feel with our problems with the salary cap that we could afford to pay our kicker that much money. We had too many other holes to fill.
2nd and 13. Goes on with the short-range flip for Parmalee. And he is stopped at the line.
Just to finish that last thought, you have to consider that a mistake, though, not signing Morton Anderson, especially when you have a team that's struggling and you're playing in close ball games. You just have to wonder what this 0-5 record might be with Morton Anderson firing those bullets from all over the field.
Lohmiller now on the season is 8 of 11, including the 2 long-range misses here this afternoon. 3rd down and 12 for the Dolphins. 3 minutes to go in this first half. The Saints 13, Miami 7. Kozar stepping up, could not find anyone. Throwing on the run. Oh, beautiful catch made by a leaping O.J. McDuffie. And again, he does it, picking up a first down. It's good for 20 yards. O.J. with 15 catches on the season, 14 now have been for first down.
Just sensational. Here's a guy, O.J. McDuffie, that grew up in the Cleveland area, said he used to enjoy watching Bernie as a kid throwing the football around and just making a super effort. And Bernie really needed that one after throwing the interception on the last drive. Who knows what would have happened to that ball. That thing was high and away, but McDuffie with a sensational catch.
First down at the New Orleans 38. Approach the 2-minute mark. Goes on to the other side, and the catch by Gary Clark caught him inbounds, just short of a first down. covered by Tyrone Leggett.
And really, it's so difficult to defense Bernie Kosar. You know, he's got that, what O.J. McDuffie called that left-handed pickoff move, where all of a sudden, you know, he's looking straight ahead and the ball comes out and he fires it out to the right side, and defensively, you don't know where to go.
2 minutes left in this first half, and we will go to commercial.
This Dolphin drive set up by the catch from O.J. McDuffie. Really, this is a tough ball, especially over the middle, because you know those safeties are somewhere close.
Second down and 2 for Miami at the New Orleans 30-yard line. McDuffie, 81 in motion. The pitch for Plumlee, but it goes to Kosar, and Byers on the reception. That did not fool the Saints, but they did pick up the first down. Winfred Tubbs on the stop off the flea flicker by Miami.
Interesting way to gain 5 yards. They go with the flea flicker, and it really was never there. The safety's not fooled even a little bit, and heads-up play by Bernie Kosar, not taking the chance, knowing that he had short yardage, but a good call on second down and very short, just to take your shot for the quick score.
And a first down at the 23. Kosar now 13 of 15, 173 yards. Kosar first look deep, then goes short range and completes to Irving Fryer, who has a first down. Run out by the outside linebacker Richard Harvey. That's good for 13 for Fryer, his 3rd catch of the day.
And here's the classic Bernie Kosar looking around the field. Now as a defensive back, you have no idea, because he can look you right in the eye and throw it the other way. Boom. I mean, really, you're taught as a defensive back to sit back there, read the quarterback's eyes, and it does you no good whatsoever with Bernie Kosar. Our defensive backs in Cincinnati used to hate playing against that guy. You had no idea where the ball was coming.
And Kosar now 5 of 5 on this drive. First down from the 11. Off the play action. Nice catch by Keith Byers, reaching behind him, and then bumped out of bounds by the right corner, Eric Allen.
I mean, really, why use excess energy if you don't have to? Just sort of, just reach back. And, I mean, he didn't even turn around. I only need one. That's terrific. Terrific hands. A guy that closing in over 500 catches in his career, and he doesn't need 2 hands.
And that was number 499. His 499th career catch. Probably surging. No indication.
Ooh, that looked, wow.
No indication of the touchdown. It is placed just short of the goal line.
Let's see whether or not the ball lands on the goal line. Remember, you just have to break the plane. And I think that's a good call by the official. His head over the line, but the football has to be somewhere in the weight.
And a timeout is taken. 26 seconds left in this first half. Looming large, that missed extra point attempt by the Saints as they hold a 6-point lead. And a good first half for Bernie Kosar. 9th play of the drive is coming up. A drive that has seen Bernie complete 6 of 6. Coming up, the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. Greg Gumbel, Mike Ditka, Bob Trumpy. Bob in the studio today, bringing you all the scores and highlights of today's action around the league. The hard-working Greg Gumbel doing a little baseball last night, making the early flight, back in the studio today.
Earning those big bucks of his.
Bernie Kosar, 15 of 17 for 193 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. 26 seconds to go in the half. Dolphins go double tight end. Ronnie Williams along with Eric Green. Here's Kosar on the roll. This time not able to connect with Byers.
There wasn't anyone within 5 to 7 yards of Byers. He could have just thrown up a shot. This was overthrown by Bernie Kosar, and there is nobody even close. It didn't have to be that good. Just throw it up in the air. There's nobody in that whole quarter of the field. Big miss there from Bernie.
It'll be a 2nd and goal inside the 1. tackle is an eligible receiver on this play. And finally a stop. Winfred Tubbs coming up to make the hit. Clock is stopped. Miami taking time with 16 seconds remaining in the half.
And that miss by Bernie Kosar looming larger now as they face a third down with no timeouts remaining. Winfred Tubbs shooting the gap. Looked like Ruddy overshot him on the play, thinking he had to reach around the outside, reach too far, and Tubbs, using the good speed, ducked back inside to make the hit.
6 tackles and an interception for Tubbs in his first half.
Obviously, the options now limited for Don Shula and Bernie Kosar. You can't afford to run the football here because if you get stopped, you won't have time to get set for the field goal. So you have to throw it because of the lack of mobility from Bernie Kosar. You don't really have the option to roll out and put pressure on the corner. Watch for Byers.
Miami with 1 timeout remaining. Byers in motion. Kosar couldn't find anyone. Heaves it away. Good play by Kosar. However, Miami will have to settle for a field goal.
And I'm sure Don Shula's heart skipped a beat there. A sack, obviously you get nothing out of this drive. And fortunately for Bernie Kosar, they had him around the legs, but his arm was free and he was able to get that thing out of there. Very, very close to being a sack.
So a 20-yard attempt for Stoyanovich, who has missed his last 3 going back to last week. High snap. And Stoyanovich able to put it through.
Bernie wanting to take as long as he possibly could on this play to try and find a receiver, but obviously you cannot take the set. Very, very lucky to get that ball out of there. Bernie should have gotten rid of that one much sooner than that. Phew, close, very, very close. Fortunate for the Miami Dolphins to get 3 points out of that.
20-yard field goal by Stoyanovich, who had missed earlier from 54 yards away. And the Saints now lead it 13-10 with 7 seconds remaining in the half.
And that had to feel good for Stoyanovich to get some of the pressure off of him. And for Jim Mora, I'm sure he's happy to see his football team going in at the half with the lead. But really, it could have been much better than what it is if they had made a couple of their field goals.
Jim Mora telling us Friday he has never been 0-5 prior to this season, even as an assistant coach. But he says he will not let it overwhelm him.
And I asked him about the goodwill that he's built up, because really the Saints were terrible before he got here, and he's had great success as their head coach, but they have been falling off very steadily here in the last couple of years. And he said the biggest reason that our defense just got old together, and then with the free agency and the salary cap, we were $12 million over the salary cap, had to let some very good football players go, and he admits it's a rebuilding process. And as far as the goodwill, I said, do you think you've built up enough goodwill to save you through the rest of the season? He said, I don't know.
It's unbelievable, as you just saw recently, as 1992, they were 12-4, one of the better teams in the NFL, thanks to that very strong linebacking core. Put on the ground and handled by one of the upman Wesley Walls. And he is immediately hit by Frankie Smith as this first half comes to a close. So that is the end of the half. The Saints with a 13-10 lead on the Dolphins. Perhaps there is time on the clock. Both teams were headed off, and now they're being called back. 2 seconds to go in the half, so they will run off one play, or will sit on the ball for one play.
Sort of an interesting choice here for Jim Mora. You've got the lead and may not want to take too many chances, but good field position here. Not that risky to throw one down the field.
Domino's halftime report in just a moment. A look at all the scores and highlights of the early games. Some good games early. The big one, the San Francisco 49ers beaten by the Indianapolis Colts. You hear the reaction from the crowd because they will just run it out. So first half that saw Miami throw for 193 yards with Bernie Kosar, but held to only 16 yards on the ground. Right now, let's go to Greg Gumbel at our New York studio.
NFL career. No